Today I'm going to be talking with two of my best friends who've been dating for a year and a half, and they're doing long distance and they're making it work. So today we pose some good advice and some good questions, and I think no matter if you think we're right or not, these are very important things to think about for your life. Let's get into it. How have you guys made your relationship last without any serious problems? Or has there been
To be
serious
honest, I
problems?
don't know. I don't know.
What?
I'm
What do you mean?
Communicating through conflicts
Okay,
and through
that's
issues.
fire. That's a banger answer. That's amazing. That
That's
just got hard.
I agree.
That's good.
What'd you
But
say?
in specifically, shut up. Specifically, how? Because I know conflicts happen no matter what. So is it just not to be silent, or is it about how you deal with it
Well,
too?
I'll answer from my perspective because
You're a
Yeah.
woman,
basically I'm the girl and I'm gonna be like the
a
dramatic
bitch,
one, the quiet, the silent one, the
the
it's
bitchy one.
fine one. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I would say the main source of knowing how to communicate, the main thing is just making that our number one priority in the relationship.
Okay.
All right, both of us being on the same page and knowing that communication is the key to allowing our relationship to progress and stay together. And if both of us are on the same page about that and are determined and motivated to communicate, that's how the communication is able to.
Do you have any examples of that? Because this is easy to say, but like to put into motion is two separate. Honestly, that's my biggest problem with advice in general. Like it's so hard to like what's right, but it's so hard to put it into action. I feel like
Okay.
examples might help illustrate like
Basically, the generic example I feel like is the fact that both of us being on the same page, knowing that when we have concerns or like we're emotional about something, whether it's sad or mad or whatever, we both know that it's out of a place of care or like how you feel. Like it's about how the individual feels. And so
Mhm.
that's true.
when we both know that, okay, you might be angry, but it's because that's how you feel. So let me try to understand how you feel. That's
Yeah.
like that's how I think the communication starts because no matter when you're receiving the anger, it's the receiver is knowing that, okay, she's being like that just because she feels a certain way. So let me try to understand how she feels so I can correct it. That's the
Uh,
motivation behind it.
I agree for sure. But problem with my relationships, or not like me specifically, but that I've noticed that can happen is it's like me versus you, or like you did this, but I did this for you, rather than like you're feeling this, so let's just like talk about what you're feeling right now, rather than argue with
Yeah.
it.
I think it comes down to like the person you're in a relationship with, because if you're like it comes down to intentions again, and then like it's me and Jonathan versus the problem, not me versus Jonathan. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
So it's working as a team to get over the bumps, not going
Yeah,
against each other.
but does my question is, does everyone know that naturally? Like, especially if people
No.
have like parents
No.
who have a bad relationship. I realize maybe it's not always best to just like give up on someone because they're doing like the wrong thing rather than they need all their relationships are going to be fucked if they keep on doing the wrong thing. So I don't know if it's better to stick with them and like help them through it or to just like abandon the situation.
If you're consistently trying to help them change, but they're not willing to change, they're not willing to change their ways, then you have to eventually break it off because then you have to be content with the fact that you know that you gave it all like mentally in order to help that person change and there's no like time constraint on it. Or I mean there is a time constraint on it. You shouldn't be having the perspective of, oh, it's been 2 months and she still hasn't changed, but let me just keep helping her try to change because eventually she will. Because then time's going to go on, and then it's going to be 6 months. You're in a miserable relationship, and where you're not fixing the problem.
Like, is there a certain time period you have in mind to just like give up on someone, or is it just situation to situation? Like,
I think it's like the overload of situations. I would say,
mm,
like
It
if it,
depends like how many things are going, like how many problems are arising. But also I think to go off Jonathan, not it's not to see if the person changes, it's to see if they're reacting to it and growing from it and
yeah,
like
okay,
taking in the advice or whatever like the communication and making it better for the other person, if that
yeah,
makes
like doing
sense.
it for the strength. Yeah, exactly. Like doing it for the strength of the relationship, is what's gonna show if they really
Yeah.
care or not.
It's normal to have complications in a relationship.
Yeah, what I meant was that not that complications won't exist, but that handling it, you'll have like
Smoother,
a set
smoother
way, or
approach.
like,
Yeah.
okay, if we have a problem,
Mm.
we just sit down, talk about
But
it.
I think it all stems from one thing though. I think before you get into a relationship, you have to have your own like grounded standards personally. So like as soon as as soon as like I asked Layla to be my girlfriend, like we already made standards with our relationship that like that like communication is going to come first, and in order to have a healthy relationship, like we both addressed this in the beginning of the relationship before anything
Ye
happened.
but,
No,
like
for example, me and Jonathan were, like, friends for a while,
that'll help.
and then we started going on, like, these dates, and this was Jonathan's thing, and the first thing he mentioned to me, he was like, "I don't know if I."
If he's straight?
Yeah,
Shut up, bro.
yeah, I
It's
had to change
stupid.
him. Basically, before we started dating, Jonathan, the first thing Jonathan brought up was, "I'm going to college, and I'm probably gonna like, I'm doing basketball, and I'm probably not gonna be here." Like,
Okay. So I was kind of like beating around the bush and explaining like how communication would be key if we were to eventually date.
Or I'll turn this into advice. If you're not dating someone currently, before you date the next person, before you date, like as you're talking, discuss things like this that are like make or break.
when Jonathan would talk about these things with me, I Jonathan's my first relationship. Like, I've never been in a relationship before. So when he would talk to me about it, I definitely got like I kind of backed up because I was like, "Oh, so he basically doesn't like me in that sense." You know what I mean? Because that's what it would seem like since I've never gone through something like this before. So I'm like, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
why is he?" You know what I mean? So at the beginning, I was kind of like shying back almost when he said that.
It was probably tough to learn about relationships, like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
I had no idea, like, I'm still learning things from Jonathan, but and, like, about relationships, like, every day, but he's definitely taught me, like, everything.
um, here, we should talk about long distance specifically for a bit too, because personally, I dated someone long distance and it didn't work. I don't give a fuck, whatever, but I do understand why somewhat, or I want to ask you
I
guys
don't
why too.
understand why.
Well, okay. Well, I'll just say she went into it with the mindset that long distance wasn't gonna work. And or just like she had that feeling. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, have you heard that term before?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
You kind of believe something's gonna happen, so you subconsciously make it happen.
Oh,
Honestly, for life in general, your beliefs like dictate what you do, because like subconsciously your beliefs are who you are. So like that's how you'll act. That's pretty deep. But anyways, how has long distance felt and how have you dealt with it?
Bro,
So
it's horrible. It's hard. It's no,
it's
it's
hard.
really it's tough,
that's
Yeah.
what
bro.
she said.
It's tough. Especially when you have like a
We're trying
really
to be
like
fucking
solid
serious.
foundation.
Sorry.
Especially when you have like a solid foundation, like and you have like a really good relationship already. It's like not about the time period, like necessarily, like or how hanging out consistently, but it's about just creating that emotional relationship individually for that other person.
Yeah.
When you really love someone, like it's hard to be away from that person.
But what has kept you dating if it's so hard?
That connection, because that connection could be anywhere in the world, but it'll still be there.
I don't know, like, before, I guess, like, everyone's like or I don't know, like, he's my best friend, basically. Okay, let's go into that. I think being friends with somebody before a relationship is so beneficial. Like, I was friends with Jonathan for, like, how long?
A year.
You have to be able to be like best friends with your partner if it's gonna last. And a quick way to know if you're able to is if you were already friends before.
Yeah, so that's why it's beneficial.
But there's also another argument that people say like, then I won't know them at all if anything happens, which is what I hear a lot of people say. Like, I don't want to ruin the friendship. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I kind of find it,
Well, no,
or
I
I'm sure.
understand it
No, I
because,
understand
like
it completely, but and it's a hard thing to deal with, but it's also like, okay, let's say you were friends with that person for a long time, then you date, and then you break up, and then no longer friends anymore. It's like, bro, life moves on.
that brings me to another question. I don't know how this necessarily relates to you guys, But I personally have been confused, like, a lot of my life, why or, like,
Wait,
people who divorce wait, hold
Wait,
wait.
on. Not sexually,
like
hold on, I'm not gay.
like gender?
Nope, nope, I don't wanna cut off my dick.
I've been confused all my life.
Bro, you didn't let me fucking finish, okay?
Jonathan's told me that multiple times.
Okay,
That
buddy.
that he's gay
Okay.
or trans or
It's
both.
what?
Both.
My question, I've been confused my whole life, why, especially people getting divorced, but, like, relationships in general, like, if you love someone, like, how can you go from loving them to hating them or just wanting nothing to do with them? Like, I'm very confused on, if you really think someone is so great, like, then I would assume you'd want them to be in your life in some context because they would add value.
Bro, I just was thinking about this point actually. Not like that specifically, but it ties to what I was thinking about. Because what I was thinking about was when like we were talking about communication, and this goes to your point right now, because a lot of times when things don't work out in a relationship, it's because the one person is so like egotistical about their own opinion that they don't have any empathy for the other person in the relationship. So they start building this like agenda or like notive in their own head, thinking that their way is the right way, and
This is
there's
this is
no
so
like
specific.
no no, it's not, because that's how like it goes from people loving each other to hating each other, because they believe in something so strongly that they don't have empathy, or they don't open their eyes and see the other like person's perspective in the relationship, because they
Sure.
feel so strongly about the relationship that they close their eyes on the
Um,
other person.
I guess what you're saying is, like, being closed-minded, like, as in thinking they're right, so when they think they did nothing wrong, they're like, "That
Yeah.
other person screwed me over." I noticed, like, this is just for anyone out there and to inform you guys if you talk to anyone in bad relationships, I'll just say typically there's one person who believes they're right and nothing is their fault, and there's another person who takes all the fault. So it's like one person who needs to be saved and the other person who's trying to save that person. What I learned is that both people are partaking in the toxicity. Um, like, even if I typically have been the person like trying to be a hero and help the other person, hero, but really you should not be taking on someone's life responsibilities. So it is a mistake on my end too.
Yeah,
There's
almost like enabling
yeah, or
like
if
bad habits and stuff.
sure, if someone does something really bad to you that you're not okay with and you say absolutely nothing, then you're
Yeah.
telling them it's okay. There are two people in every relationship, so if it's bad, chances are you have something to do with it. And if it's really that bad and you have nothing to do with it, then you would already have left. I I do know that love initially is like a drug, and or at least for me it can make you ignore certain things, and it's really powerful, I'll just say.
Hi.
Oh,
Are you closing up right now? Is there any way I could stay in here and I have to get out?
yeah,
My
Jonathan
computer
does
is
this all the
folded
time.
now.
Just goes talking down the halls. No shame. No, that's a better way to be. You shouldn't care what other people think.
No,
Or
I love these podcasts because it's like really interesting to just like communicate about
yeah.
these things. Because I feel
Um,
like I don't talk about this like a
yeah.
lot.
Or if you know Jordan Peterson, he said people think best by talking. Or it's really hard to like know how you really feel about stuff if you always like keep it in, or else to go to stay on topic.
Or I also want to say like especially like with love, sulking in your own depression and being sad is so addicting.
That's life though.
I
Like,
I agree.
But my
but
question
it's
is why? Like,
I
isn't that
don't know.
crazy? We're addicted to feeling sad. Like
Mhm.
Exactly. Like
that
your
it's
heart.
insane. What the fuck? Where did Jonathan go? He just turned black and disappeared. Uh,
I'm
what the
laggy. I'm laggy.
people care way too much about what other people think in general, including me, and I hate it.
Yeah, me too.
Like
It's embarrassing to admit, but
I was trying to record a video today and I was just
Oh
like
my god.
outside and cars were driving by and I was like putting the camera down. Like,
yeah,
the fuck do I care? I don't know these people.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you're never
know
gonna see
for
them. Or like even people that you're talking to, like strangers and stuff, like you're most likely never gonna see them ever again.
Yeah.
So like
I
yeah,
when I'm
keeping
talking
that
to
mentality is good.
yeah, when I'm talking to like customers and stuff, I'm like, I'm never gonna see them again. Like who cares what they think of me?
I got a banger quote
Yeah.
that I heard. You'll stop caring how much other people think of you when you realize how seldom they do. I'm hoping you know what seldom means.
No, I don't.
It
I don't
means
either.
it means like how little they think of you. Like no one on a daily basis, everyone is worried about what other
Oh.
people are thinking of themselves. Like no one
what
no
is this
one is
room?
thinking about you. Like they might see you do something embarrassing for a second and they just won't give a fuck
Move on.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carson,
Bro.
were your parents like were they married? They were,
They were
right?
never together. Yeah. No. So I have no example for a relationship like at all.
Being
Huh?
that, you do a really good job of it, for real.
Were they divorced? What?
They were dating and they moved in together, but they were
Mhm.
never married. And
Okay.
then they broke up and then my dad left.
Mm.
No, it's not that bad. For being someone who like moved away, like he was probably like the best far away dad possible.
Hmm.
Like called and sent my mom money to help pay for basketball. Like,
Mm.
he's a good dude. But it probably has definitely changed the way I am as a person. I don't know for better or for worse, but
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not like
also I think like a big factor is like parents or like parenting
100%.
because yeah, I think people like don't talk about it enough because it's like how you grew up and everything. Like
For sure. I know, I
so like
completely
okay,
agree.
yeah, like one of my biggest problems and I tell everyone is communication. That I learned from my parents because or at least my dad because I just never grew up on telling anybody anything. So when I started ta dating Jonathan, it was like that was probably it probably still is our biggest, like, problem right now or conflict that we may get into is because I just don't know how to communicate sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like,
No,
he's
yeah,
really helped me, like, learn communication, you know what I mean?
I think you're 100% right that was I think you're okay.
Oh.
Your relationships are righting the wrongs in your parents' relation from your parents' relationship. You learn from your parents the most.
mm,
And
that's
honestly,
really interesting.
they decide what's normal for you somewhat. I mean, and your friends too eventually, but like
Yeah.
initially in your life, like the deepest things you believe that you don't really talk to people about, it's all learned from your early life. Good thing to do for yourself is to like look at your parents' relationship if they had one, um, and look at the flaws that they have and see how that compares to what you're doing.
No, I'm on a podcast with my friends. Yeah, college athlete interview. No, I'm just kidding. It's just about like stuff at home and stuff.
Stuff at home.
Yeah.
No, what?
Bro.
I get,
I literally I look forward to this like every weekend.
yeah.
It's like also like a very like mental reliever.
Like I'm so fucking into this conversation.
Me too. Same, bro. Same, bro. Same.
What
Like
the
my brain is like more activated than normal.
Me too. I'm just so activated.
Ew, Jonathan, what? That's a crazy statement.
If we all go around and say one thing we think is healthy and one thing that's unhealthy.
Okay, this kinda goes for long distance, but
Hey, that's good.
is that
Specifics.
okay? Okay. I would say, like, when it comes to, like
Yeah, okay,
what?
go.
Sorry, I was looking at Carson and I just started laughing.
Okay,
Okay.
when it comes to, like, events and stuff or going out, I can't talk anymore. I'm done. What are you guys talking about? I'm confused.
I don't know. I'm confused. I'm just laughing because he's laughing.
No, something about
For
laughing in
real,
like a
for real.
serious scenario makes it funny, so then it's just like
Yeah.
continually funny.
Yeah.
I laughed at
We're
my
done.
grandma's funeral.
See?
It's not funny.
So
Events, like, going out and stuff, it comes back the whole thing comes back to communication, but, like, it's just, like, checking in with the other person. I don't know.
No, specifics are great because people throw around communication, but it's really hard to tell what that really means. So,
Okay, like,
yeah, be
parties
specific.
and, like, going out, like,
Okay.
events,
And you need to
hanging out with
check in.
friends,
So
I
you're saying it's
guess. Yeah.
healthy?
Just, like, or yeah, like, just, like, small texts are, like they go a long way.
I
yeah,
agree.
for
I
real.
agree.
That builds trust.
Here, how about this? What's the unhealthy way to deal with that? Is it like unhealthy to not text them, or is it just like
I think so.
less respectful? I feel like
Yeah,
Less
that
respectful.
yeah, because I feel like respect is something that's probably not talked about enough in relation because people always talk about trust,
Mm,
and I feel like trust and respect go hand in hand.
yeah,
Like
facts.
that's a good point.
True.
Yeah.
if you and your partner decide that that's important to you and you don't do it, then I would say it's disrespectful and in turn unhealthy. No, talking about something like serious or like a problem, but instead of talking about how to fix it, more talking about like all that you did wrong. Like
Unhealthy.
like like
I think that's
like
unhealthy.
trying to make you feel guilty.
Yeah, like blaming you.
Manipulation.
I mean, I should share this in general because this is something I forgot the name I gave her. Fucking Sheila. Yeah, that's the name I gave her for the
That's
toxic girl I dated in the past. Something that I've noticed is that with her, and I'm guessing with any toxic person or manipulative person, basically they want something from you. That's the whole point of manipulation. And they ask for it, and if you say no, they'll insult you or make you feel guilty for whatever you chose to use your good emotions against you, which is pretty fucked up. But notice if you say no to something and someone freaks out, that's a pretty bad sign.
Give an
Um,
example.
yeah, or a while ago or Sheila texted me, whatever. She was asking me to follow her back on Instagram. I
Mhm.
said, no, I don't think I can. And then she just goes off on me about like everything wrong with me when it was not related
Oh.
to anything I said. What I just didn't understand what the point of it was. And if I were dating her, then I probably would have been like, fuck, I'm a bad person. Like I need to fix this. I mean, I'm sure it's from girls to guys too, but like from guys to girls, like if they don't want to do like sexual things, I would say like this is something that's probably a lot of bad men probably manipulate women by blowing up when they don't want to have sex with them. If someone says no and it upsets you, what's the healthy way? Like
You know
not
why? It's
not even
because
that situation, but all. But
I
say it,
feel
come
like
on.
it's upsetting them because they feel like it's an insult, and because they feel like it's an insult, of like immediately their defense mechanism, their like defense wall goes up, and they're trying to blame you because they're thinking like, dude, who does this dude think he is, like insulting
Oh,
me?
okay.
Because
So
they
Mm.
think the no means it's an insult, so they're like,
it
dude, who do you think you are saying no?
it might
Like,
not
are you
be
saying no because I'm because you don't like me or what? Like, or you think I'm annoying or so that's what they start jumping to conclusions in their head that you're saying no because you're insulting, like you don't feel a certain way about them as a
okay.
person. And then so it allows them to be defensive and counter back on you without you even saying anything. So I think the best way to do it is like is like she should have responded and saying like why not like like is there like why do you feel like you
Why
can't
do you
or
feel that
like
way?
yeah why do you feel that way? That's more of a
Yeah.
calmer like better approach.
Yeah.
It's more
Hmm.
mature.
But I would say maturity, like it's I like the word you use, mature, Layla, because like the thing about a lot of people that like really don't like talk about much, I feel like, is maturity is built up, in my opinion. I don't feel like maturity just comes like naturally. I
Fuck
think
yeah.
maturity
I like that point. Okay. Keep going.
I think maturity is like you have to build maturity. Like everybody starts from ground zero and you have to build your maturity because I feel like in this situation, for example, like it's not necessarily that she's being in or I don't know her, but like some people like they don't intentionally be immature. You get what I'm saying? You're not
I f
intentionally
They
trying to be
they just
immature.
grew up
You're just
like
if you're that person or if you're with that I would say first, if you're that person, like how do you change your I mean, obviously this is a hard question to answer, but how would you change that?
You just have to recognize that you are being immature in the situation, and then if another situation like that comes up in the future, you just course correct.
it's also like Carson, you know how we talked about like thinking about reactions and like thinking about something before you actually say them or do them. It's like thinking about like did she think of her response and was she mature about it basically? So it was like
It's a tough question to answer, and honestly, an even tougher question to answer if you are with or are talking to someone who's like this, and you want to help them change, or you're not sure if you're the problem. Like that was my biggest thing with Sheila, that I didn't know if when I was in it, I was like, am I the problem? Like, am I causing all this?
But
When
that's the manipulation factor, like that person is getting into your head. Like,
yeah,
no,
because
at the
you're
same
not
time, I get what you're saying.
but
Like,
then if she feels that way and like we're just using her as an
shouldn't.
example. I'm not
Mm,
trying to shit on her, but let's
no, no,
just
I get
let's
what you're
just say
saying.
she's toxic. But like self-reflection is so hard. Like because
Yeah, I was about to say that exactly because yeah, it's a hard topic because yeah, if she feels like you're all the problem, it's like even though you might be getting manipulated, like you can't just it's not a black and white thing. You can't just think, "Oh, it's all manipulation." You also have to self-reflect on yourself and
yeah.
because of care for that person, you have to self-reflect on yourself and be like, "Okay, am I the problem or am I not the problem?" And it's really hard because you have to fight with like her on your shoulder on your left shoulder saying, "Oh, like is it like her on your left shoulder saying like oh, it's all your fault. And you have to fight to see if that's valid or not. And then on your right shoulder, you have to see, okay, what am I doing that's necessarily wrong? And putting those two together is really hard because it's like hard to respond to
It
that.
is a tough situation. I don't think I've entirely figured out the answers to these yet either. I don't even know if there really is an answer. I just know like to ever get close to knowing if there is, you just have to like keep going and keep trying. Like if I mean, as in not just with one person, like if you keep trying with the next person and I think just over time things get more clear. Whether
Yeah.
you are with the same person or a different person, but
Okay. I'm going to get a little deep here, but
give
like,
it to me deep.
okay. Okay.
okay.
I'm going to bring up like me and Layla's relationship. Sometimes there is
Fine.
moments like that where I feel like, okay, if she feels a certain way of something that, like I did, like wrong. It's like because obviously you have your own perspective of the situation and then you have their perspective of the situation. And I think what causes a healthy relationship is having like under both understanding each other's perspective for sure. And when you're sitting and thinking about it independently, like we just talked about, like you're thinking about how she feels I did something wrong, and then how and then you have to validate it yourself and say like, okay, it was I doing it wrong, or like was it not? Or if it's both, like so I think a lot of times, or 100% of the time actually, I think I get caught up when we get into conflicts of like I think it's both. So I think that I am doing something wrong and in one sense, and then I'm not doing something wrong in another sense. But the hardest part about it is communicating that. Because you just said how there's no right answer. But I think you're right, there is no right answer. But to be able to just progress in the relationship, you have to be able to talk that like the situation out. I feel like what I'm trying to say is like there could be both. So I feel like I understand where she's coming from, where it's like, okay, yes, I did this wrong. I accept that. I apologize for that. I want to reflect on that. And there's the other part where I'm like, okay, but at the same time, it's not all my fault because you engaged in something like this that triggered this. And and when explaining that is the hardest part because it's about order of operations. Like which one are you supposed to explain first? Are you supposed
Okay.
to explain
I think you
like are you supposed
always address the empathetic side or like the I understand side first. Um,
first?
yeah.
I don't see that's why I don't know because I feel like if you address that part first and then you counteract it with something where like, okay, yeah, but it's not all my fault, it's you too, then it just goes into an argument. And I feel like sometimes me and Layla get these conflicts where we start going back and forth because it's like, yes, I acknowledge what you're saying, and then I'm gonna explain my point, and then you claim that that's false, and then you explain your point, and then I claim that's false, and then I explain my point, and so I don't know which way is the right way. Like, do you say, I'm still
Mhm.
trying to figure that out. Do you say
I I think
like, I
you
feel
I
like you're
don't
doing
think
this
there
first,
is
but at the same time,
I don't think there's a right way.
a good answer would be some form of compromise. Like you
Yeah.
acknowledge that you both did
Yeah.
things wrong, and you
Mhm.
both like meet each other halfway.
Yeah, we get to
Yeah,
that
and
point,
that's what me and Jonathan do every single time at the end. Like I feel
Yeah.
we've never left like a conflict open,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
very
That's
like
great.
Yeah.
we've always ended it like I messed up by my reaction and you messed up by your action, for example, and we both need to work on that. And we're
Mhm.
both gonna
Yeah.
see how we and we're both gonna reflect. We're gonna reflect and see how what we did wrong, what we did right, and then work on it and make it better for the next time something comes up, so it can be
Yeah.
handled in a better way.
I think we do that amazingly. Like, I think it's really good that
I
we
think
do that,
that's
like, so
most
well.
important. I don't
Mhm.
think it matters that if you get into
Yeah.
arguments a fair amount. Like it doesn't fucking matter if at the end of the day
Yep.
the arguments benefit you. The fuck? What are you mad at anymore? That now it's a good thing that
Yeah.
Yeah.
you argue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. That was
So
really good.
Exactly.
okay, healthy
Exactly. But
arguments.
also, none of us are, like, perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we're always striving to be perfect. That's, like,
Sure.
the goal. Like, you're always trying to be the best version of yourself, right?
As
So,
close
like,
to perfect as possible.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, we got that checked off. Like, like POV, like our relationship, we got that checked off where we talk about conflicts or we like resolve it at the end. But now it's about learning to keep the conflict short. So, like, not because I feel like sometimes it takes way too long for us to get to that point where we're both communicating with each other,
Okay.
like, or we're both like compromising it. First step is to learn not to get into the conflict in the first place by our actions, because you learn from the last conflict and you try to like fix it to for the next conflict. And then if that doesn't work, if that stage doesn't work out, then it's learning to resolve the conflict faster than the last time you guys dealt with the conflict.
But I think
Okay.
something to keep in mind in Jonathan, I feel like I've told you before, but it's just like complications are gonna happen. Like it's just like it's
Yeah.
life. Like no matter what, like in a
Yeah.
relationship in a long distance, like they're gonna arise. It's not, and if it doesn't, then like I feel like it's too perfect. So
Then it's fake.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I love that you brought that up because, or I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I think it's like really good that you brought that up because then it makes it seem like the conflicts aren't as bad as they actually are.
I mean, because
yeah.
they're not. Because
They're
Yeah, and
not.
it's
But
it's
looking
in an
at it
normal.
emotional
it's
side,
yeah,
don't
it's looking at it from like a big perspective. Like everyone knows, like Jonathan, we're gonna get married. Like that's like final, like that's it. And like when I'm thinking, oh, once we're married, like, are we gonna remember that we fought? Oh, like I got mad at you for not texting me for 4 hours. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's not. These are like little things, and like we're not gonna remember over time. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I also feel like social media movies portray this is actually what pissed me off most about love. The world
Yeah.
kind of portrays it as this perfect thing, and
Yeah.
it's not, and it's not like this lovey-dovey perfect thing forever. But it is a great it is a great thing when done right. It's not what the movies make it look like, or the highlight reels make it look like. And I will say about the word compromise, I think that's an amazing word. And it means like half happy, which is important because I feel like, especially me, I've always been like striving for like pure happiness. And like,
Yeah.
and then when I'm in a situation that's okay, I'm like, fuck, I want it to be better. But
Yeah.
then, when I'm sad as fuck, I'm like, no, wait, I should have been just good with the okay. Like, I feel like
Yeah. That's so
this
true.
I mean, the same thing that I just said, but like social media movies can, if we take it for reality, it can kind of make our expectations of life be way
Way too
above,
high.
like
Yep.
way
Yeah.
above to what they should be. When, if you're like, people always say, like, oh, I never want to be mediocre or shit like that, but like, or average. People don't want to be average. But guess what? The average is most people. And like,
Yeah.
and it's not like a horrible thing to I mean, it depends how you think of it too, but it's not a horrible things for things not to be amazing. And
And
Yeah.
also recognizing that there's always a below average. So if you're in the average category, like,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
above
It could be
average,
worse.
you're above average, the below average. So you're always above average. Think about that. No, for real. You
Sure.
get what I'm saying?
Okay. I guess yes, but
It's
what's
like
the point of this?
levels, kind of.
That you're always looking at the next, but you don't realize that you're above, like you're not at the bottom.
No, yeah. So realizing that,
That was
taking it from
good.
a positive perspective, like you're never at the bottom because there's always someone below you.
That sounds hella dark. There's always someone below you.
Yeah. But seriously though, that's
You're always
actually
on top of someone.
Okay. This is whoa. Okay. This is I might have to
Yeah,
cut
can
this
we
out.
stop with the levels? Because
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
confused.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. People's expectations for life are just much too high. And I think the best place to be is to be okay that life is gonna suck sometimes. Like to be okay with that fact. Because when I feel like people see it as possible that life can be all amazing, or like, which it's just not real. Like you're always gonna struggle. I fucking hate it, but it's true. Time is somewhat running out, so what we normally do is just say advice at the end.
before getting too deep into your relationship, before like in the beginning of the relationship, set standards for each other and and agree on the standards before you guys keep moving forward.
Very cliche
Close
today.
the door, please.
Damn.
Mom, I'm on the phone.
Damn. My advice is don't hate your mom. The fuck?
Sorry.
I'll just say for people who are sad, it's gonna get better, and it's not like the end of the world. Like so often when something goes wrong with my life, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be stuck in this feeling forever. Like it's fucking
Bro,
annoying
I trust
because
me. I know. I feel
it
that
it
too.
makes it hurt 10 times more when you're like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna feel better. When
Yep,
that's
bro.
fucking insane. It's
So
like
true.
completely irrational because like if you think about the past when you were really sad, you obviously got better at some point.
That's yeah. See, that's what makes me so mad is because we sulk in that sadness. Like it
Oh,
makes me
we
so
stopped
mad.
talking about that. Fuck, let's continue before it's over.
Bro, there's so much things I can still talk about. Like I need answers to.
Yeah,
Like
I
Okay.
need answers too. Like, why did my
Okay.
parents divorce?
Shut the fuck up. Uh, no.
No,
Okay.
actually,
Okay. No, the final thing we need to talk about is our desire to be sad or like to sulk or like what the fuck is that?
I
Like
have no idea. I don't know what the answer is. I don't
it
know.
bro,
absolutely baffles me.
Is it
I
like?
do
Is
that
it
all
like?
the time.
I
I do
think
that
you know
all
what
the
I think it
time.
is. I think it's like, what are those like emotions we get?
The
Like
emotions we get?
melatonin, like testosterone, I
Melatonin
wonder.
is for sleeping.
No, I
Testosterone and
Dopamine, I
know
think.
estrogen.
Dopamine, I think. Is it
Dopamine?
dopamine? Isn't it?
it
I know
might
what
be.
dopamine is, but I don't know what the fuck you're trying to say.
What
Time's about to
I'm
run
just trying to
out.
control?
say like it's a feeling that makes us feel good almost, but
Oh,
like
yeah. No, I've heard this
Oh,
before. Like,
norepinephrine and
okay,
serotonin. I
oh,
learned this in psych
it's
maybe.
actually.
not.
No,
It's not
no,
that. That's not how you pronounce
you're
it.
talking about dopamine, I think. Dopamine gives you motivation to do stuff because it like gives you that excitement almost. So
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
it almost like is exciting to like I don't want to say play victim. I guess is a harsh term for it, but like especially when I look back on like my high school days, like it was not all good, but there were certain points where I was like choosing to be sad almost.
Sad.
Like
No, I still do that to this day, like a lot. And
I'm
I don't know
eh,
what it is. Like
it's it's
so
Yeah,
crazy.
annoying.
And
I think it's just a worldly thing.
I guess like maybe media and some art has like popularized like no one wants to be average anymore. So if people can't be above average, they'd rather be like below so they're still special. I don't know, social media or whatever, the extremes are what make it out and like
Mm.
people want to be extreme.
Yeah, right.
But like sadness has kind of been popularized. And
But then
maybe
why don't we intake people's responses, like positive responses? Like when you're sad, you're saying like you draw attention to people more than if you were happy and chilling. And so
I'm saying no is I'm saying is like maybe equal to the highlights and lowlights, how much people pay attention, but I'm saying people
mhm,
don't pay attention to the middle. I think we're at the
mhm.
point where people would rather be sad than fine.
Then mid, yeah. It's like either
Yeah.
you're really happy or you're really sad. Like there's no
Yeah.
in
Yeah, that's
between.
I
important.
feel like that's but this shit's about to end. Anyone
Yeah.
got advice or
Oh,
something? Leave people with
I don't get
Lorax.
it.
Oh, there's less than a
Uh,
minute. There's less than a minute. Say something.
come on, finish. Come on.
I cannot talk after that.
Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want. Now I do what I want.